Alright, hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to the Architecture of Dishonored 2 series. In this video, we are gonna look at the Addermire Institute, which is a hospital. There it is. Before I do that though, I want to look at this timber stuff. So the mystery of this timber, and like what exactly it is, and how does it work. Like, look at this. This timber, I'm gonna just get up close to it actually. If we get all the way up close to this, we can see that the timber is not laminated timber. Actually, can we? Maybe it's easy to look at that one. So laminated timber is if you have smaller bits of timber glued together, right? So this is not laminated timber. It is just a giant piece of wood. Like one whole piece of wood, that's it. It's not even finished, like it's not, I mean by finished, not like it's completed. But it's not like, it's not painted, it's not varnished, it's not anything. It looks like just a raw piece of wood that's in the ocean, and there's no moss, there's no mold, there's no barnacles, there's nothing. So it's remarkable, let me put it that way. Wood is biodegradable. If you leave a piece of wood out in the ocean, it will eventually just biodegrade into nothing. Like you can have like things eating it and growing on it, and then the waves and the wind will break it. So the idea that like you have that going on, it's actually sitting in the seawater sometimes, and it's just, yeah, no, this is not normal wood, is what I'm trying to say. So we're gonna have to forget about trying to understand this. Oh, excuse me, I'm trying to get back up the cliff. We have to give up on the idea of trying to understand the wood as something that we can recognize and understand. I can do this. As any sort of, as anything that resembles wood in the real world, right? So we have to forget about that. And get used to the idea that this is just different. It's something else. Possibly magical. Alright. So getting back up to here. Yeah, no, you couldn't... In the real world, something like that would have to be reinforced concrete. But not here. Alright, so back to the Institute. The Institute is, by order of His Eminence, Duke Luca Abel, Addermire Institute is temporarily closed to the public, right? And then underneath that, Facility Management at Addermire Institute kindly informs the public that our waiting list is so long that free of charge appointments with Dr Hypatia must be booked 2 months in advance. Only emergency cases, mining accidents, blood fly infection will be granted access to the facility. So that's interesting and tells us something, doesn't it? It tells us that at some point the hospital was giving out free healthcare to anyone, but there's a huge waiting list, so it was like really busy, crowded with people because it was giving out free healthcare. And then at some point after that, the hospital was shut down completely. But if we look at the building, and in fact, let me climb up here. Nice. Climb up here real quick. If we get a good angle on the building, look at this. Like look at the detailing on the glass. Look at the detailing on the stone. Right. Look at that detailing there. And then look at the decorative ironwork and steel work. Right. Look at all those little arches. So this thing is very richly decorated, right? There's a lot of detailing, a lot of ornamentation, and like detailing like this, it basically costs more money, is what it is, right? Instead of just having one piece of stone one flat piece of stone. You need to hire people to carve these little things out and then install them onto your building. So the more details there are, the more carvings there are, the more expensive it is, basically. So this is a very expensive building, and the way I read it is that it wasn't always open to the general public, right? It wasn't always meant to give out free healthcare to anyone who wants to come here, right? It used to serve rich, exclusive clients at some point in the past. Like, originally, this thing was built to serve rich, exclusive clients. And then they started receiving just anybody, giving out free healthcare, and then it got shut down. Okay, so that's, based on what we can see, that's what we read about the architecture. But it's decayed a lot. You can see like all the stone is cracked, and like the railings are broken. And like you have little puddles, and then it's overgrown, right? You have like plants that are growing everywhere where they're not supposed to be, things are peeling. So like the rest of the city, it used to be an affluent, wealthy city, but it has decayed over time. And this more so than anything else, because this, like this building, the ornamentation in this building, is more detailed and richer than any of the other parts of the city we've seen so far. So this is like the fanciest building we've seen so far. And even here, this is completely decayed. So there are no rich people coming to this hospital anymore. And not for a while. Because it takes a while for things to decay this much. I mean, you see these plants growing out of the ground here. How long do you think it takes for that plant to grow like that? 5 years? 5 years? 10 years? Right, it takes multiple years for weeds to grow that big. That's massive. Massive weeds. So, like, we're looking at like multiple years of decay here, right? Anyway, let's go inside and take a look. Alright, I've got my notes here. Right. Can't go into the side bits. There used to be doors, but they're sealed up. So the main entrance is either here or from there. And then here we have reception, I guess. Let me just check the reception. Actually, let me check this as well. Oh, yeah, no, the sun's in the wrong place. I was gonna leave that till later. Or maybe it's not. So Addermire Institute is here, right? It's right there. East is there. The sun. So the east. You know what? I want to leave this until later. East is there. So this is supposed to be midday, but the sun is really low in the sky. That doesn't make any sense. The sun should be about there in the sky. Based on where we're supposed to be. Like, if the midday sun is that high off the horizon, we are very, very far north. Right? Which we are not. We are not this far north. So the sun's in the wrong place. Anyway, back to the building. The main entrance is here. The reception is here. We have some shelves, some desks. Okay, this is fine. Do I need to say anything about that? No, that's the same thing. So from there we come into here. We have the lobby. Oh, do we have a map? We don't have a map. We'll get a map further in. So we have a lobby here, and then these signs help, right? So we have consultation, treatment, recuperation room, and dining hall. So the game designers, when they designed this place, they did design a mostly functioning hospital, or it's a building that could function as a hospital. And they did put all the hospital parts in here, so that's pretty cool. Oh, and we can examine the decay in here as well. As you can see, very big plants even on the inside. And again, the stone floor is completely ripped up. Some of the railings have broken. It's still structurally sound though, so that's good news. I mean, how long do you think it takes for the inside of a building to decay this much? Again, it's multiple years, right? Right, multiple years. Alright, consultation. actually goes that way. So if you go into a hospital, I guess the first thing you do is you get consulted, and then you get your treatment, and then you recuperate, right? So if you remember the signs back there, the idea is you would turn right, and then you would like go counterclockwise to get your treatment. So we're gonna follow the same idea, except the problem here is that because the building has been taken over. Oh, in the game, there's a lot of guards in the building. So does this building no longer functions as a hospital? But Dr. Hypatia still works here on something, not sure what. And there's a lot of guards guarding her for some reason. I'm not gonna spoil the story or anything. So this building has become basically a guard post. It's basically it houses a lot of guards who protect Dr. Hypatia. Consultation's supposed to be this way, so you come in here, you go in here, and then this door is blocked. So we're gonna have to get past that door some other way later on. Before I go to consultation though, over here we have restricted area. And then conveniently we have a map on the wall here. So this is the first floor, right? So the train is down here. Or we come in the tram here, come up the stairs, into the main entrance, and then this is the main lobby, right? This is the double height space. And then number 2 is consultation, so that was the way to consultation, but this door is blocked. We are currently here. Can you see that? Okay, my mouse is visible. And then number 3, we have a dining hall. So consultation, dining hall, right? And then going up a floor, we have disease treatment. And although it's not labeled here, there's a salon. Not sure what this is supposed to be. But then if we go up another floor, we have recuperation here. And this is the east balcony. And then we go up another floor. There are private rooms. And interesting, there are 3 private rooms, it looks like. 3 private rooms and Dr. Hypatia's office. So that's the map of the hospital, right? Alright, cool. Over here we have a restricted area, staff only. And if you look in here, it's not too clear what this is, except that there's a lot of lockers. I mean, this could be a locker room, sort of like a changing room for the staff. Right, that's possible. At the ends of the building, we have these circular steel portals. I mean, I would say windows, except there's no glass in the circle, so these don't match all the other windows. All the other windows in the building is this stuff. There's like lead joining together pieces of glass, and it's like all very intricately patterned and right, so that's very interesting, very intricate. And then there's these like giant industrial circular portals. Not sure what's going on here. They might have replaced the windows on the end walls because it's exposed to the weather and therefore these things are more robust, possibly. I don't know. These don't seem to fit with the rest of the building, so they might be retrofitted at some later date. I mean, there's also pipes and things that are retrofitted to the building, right? What else is there to say? Not too much. So this is like a staff area. Not as decorative as other parts, right? Not as decorative as the guest parts of the hospital. But still perfectly fine, perfectly functional. Aside from the decay. You would think there'd be toilets here or something, I'm not sure. If these are changing rooms. I mean, there is like one basin. Anyway, not too sure what this is, but there are lockers here. Probably lockers and changing room. Okay, so we do want to go to the consultation though. Oh, before I go to consultation, I guess I should talk about how big the lobby is. The lobby is a triple height space, especially in here. So this is a double height space, and in here this is triple height space. It's 3 floors. A really grand, really big lobby. Why is it so big? Why is it so big? I mean, if you don't make this a triple height space, you can fit 2 more floors in here. and there'd be a lot more floor space for you to put offices or hospital beds or anything else useful, right? So instead of having anything useful in here, you just have big open space in here. I mean, architecturally, you do this sort of thing because it's cool, right? Because it's impressive, right? Because big things are cool. But it's not useful, right? Having a big, giant, triple height space is not useful. It looks cool, but it doesn't help the hospital function in any way. And like, if you have too much money to spend, you would do this. And what I'm trying to say is that, you know, the hospital, as it was originally built, it was built for people who have too much money and they don't know what to do with it. So they build extravagant things like this that are not useful, right? Alright, continuing on. So there's another little office here. Not sure why there's a little office here. I mean, there's already a reception at the front door. But anyway, so if we try to get to consultation, right? You would come in the front door and then you would come into here. So this was the door that was blocked on the other side before. And here in consultation, you can see this wood paneling, right? This very fancy wood paneling here. I mean, like, you can contrast this with the private area, restricted area before, where there was the staff changing room, and then this is the consultation area for the customers. You can see how this is much richer than the staff room, right? You can see that, right? You have like fancy wood paneling here. I guess a bit of a waiting area, and then you have a bit of an office or like a reception thing. And then back here, not entirely clear what these rooms do because they've been repurposed for other things. Alright, first of all, restricted area here. This is easy enough. This is just the staff room, I believe. You have a bit of a seating area, some food in fact. Some food, and then a records room. So this is just like a staff room. Over on this side, in the game, these rooms have been repurposed to house dogs. Yeah, so dogs are kept here, and I guess these would have been the consultation rooms. But all the furniture's been moved away, so you're not really sure, right? Except here, I mean, there are some medical things. We have a vaguely medical looking thing here. And then you have some vaguely medical looking chairs there. You have like a basin. And some desks and things, I guess. Like, all the furniture's been moved around, so it's difficult to say how this would have functioned. On the other side, there's another restricted area, and this was turned into a barracks, basically, for the guard. You can see they kept their uniforms here, and then they have their beds out here. There is a little basin, but no toilet. So again, not sure what this would have been used for in the hospital. Like, what part of the hospital would have looked like this? Not entirely sure. Maybe this is the consultation room. Because here's the thing with consultation, right? Consultation, you go to the doctor looks at you to see what your problem is, to see like why you're sick. And you need privacy for consultations. Because if you imagine, look, let's say you go to the doctor, right, and you tell your doctor, my pee-pee feels strange. And the doctor says, oh, your pee-pee feels strange. Well, why don't you take off your pants and show me your pee-pee? And then you're like, okay, doctor, and you take off your pants and you show the doctor your pee-pee. If you're doing that in a room like this, where there's a giant window, anyone could just walk past and look in and look at your pee-pee, and that's not cool. You don't do that. So consultation rooms need to be private, is the point that I'm trying to make. So, I mean, you wouldn't... Would you be consulting in like this? You wouldn't, right? You would want like a... You know, like if you think about your hospital or your clinic, like the consultation rooms are very private. Usually there's no windows at all. Yeah, so if this is supposed to be consultation, I don't know why there's big windows like this. And also, like, you would have multiple rooms. No, this can't be consultation. Again, because if you need privacy, you can't have people walking through one room to get to the other room, right? You would have the corridor, and then from the corridor you have a room that is closed, probably no windows, and then you might have another room down the corridor. So all the rooms would have doors opening into the corridor instead of having rooms and doors opening into the other rooms. So this makes no sense for consultation. This here makes absolutely no sense for consultation. And I really have no idea what this is supposed to be. And even this doesn't make very much sense for consultation. I don't know. Maybe they had to compromise for gameplay purposes. But otherwise, that doesn't really make sense. Not for consultation, anyway. Alright, so on the other side we have the dining hall. The dining hall is quite nice. So, dining hall... The dining area is raised a little bit. That's nice. Because when you're raised up, you have a little bit more privacy. I mean, you might think, okay, that's completely open. I mean, it's not that private. No, but like when you're like... When you're a step up, you... How do I put it? You feel safer? You know, like when you're higher up and you're looking down on others, you feel safer than if you're down below and other people are looking down on you. And so when you're eating, you kind of want to feel comfortable and safe, right? And so having the dining area raised up a little bit, that's kind of nice. I like that. And there are curtains too. If you do want privacy, you can like, you know, lower the curtains and have a bit of privacy while dining. We do have toilets here. You know, in case you eat something that doesn't agree with you, you can get it back out again real quick. Right, restroom, dining. Let me just look up here. The dining is still operational. You see there's fresh food here. So the guards still dine here. Right, they still use this as their mess hall, kind of. Oh, a piano too. Do you like someone to play the piano for you while you're eating? Very fancy. This is a very fancy hospital. You basically have fine dining in the hospital. We have some shelves for cups and dishes and things. So here, this leads back to the lobby, in case you're wondering. So if you want to go straight to dining, you can do that from the lobby. And then on the other side, we have the kitchen. It is a very, very big kitchen. In fact, it's a massive kitchen. Let me get over into the kitchen. This kitchen is huge. It's too big, isn't it? I mean, consider how many tables there are. Consider how big the dining hall is. You're cooking for... what is it, 20, 30 people max? Like maybe like 30 people max? 30 people would be quite crowded in here, right? You don't need a kitchen this big to cook for 30 people. Why wouldn't you have less kitchen and more dining? Right, you would think maybe if you like in the kitchen around about here, and then you can fit more tables if this is also dining. You see what I mean? It's a little odd, like the kitchen seems a little too big. But then again, I mean, if you're serving really rich people and you're cooking a lot of food that, you know, like sometimes rich people, they don't actually eat everything that they serve because they just have a lot of money, and so then they just cook a lot of food and don't even eat all of it. I mean, if you're that kind of rich, okay, I get it. I get why you need a huge kitchen for not very many people. It's a little excessive though, in my opinion. Anyway, behind the kitchen we have a cold room. I don't think it's actively refrigerated. No, there's no piping or anything. It's not actively refrigerated, but it's a cold room. they keep the sun out and the food should keep a little bit longer. Alright, and then on this side here, behind the kitchen kind of, we can go out the back of the hospital and we have a crane here, look at that. And then down there we have a little dock. So this is cool. So you will have ships coming in here, bringing the food, right? Or any other cargo. You bring the food in here, and then you crane the food up, and then you get the food back here, and it goes straight into the kitchen and into the cold room. This is important because you don't really want to bring like raw meat and raw fish and things through the dining area. That would might make people lose their appetite. And you don't even want to bring raw fish in the front door either, because you know that's where the guests come in. So the guests never have to interact with the fresh food coming into the kitchen. Isn't that good? Right, so like the kitchen does need a back door as like a service entry where you can bring stuff in, and where you can also take garbage out, by the way, because you know, you like the things that you don't eat, you need to throw that stuff away somewhere. And again, you don't want to bring garbage out through the dining area. So a side door from out of the back of the kitchen is a great idea. So all that is entirely reasonable. Alright, so this is the ground floor. There is a basement. Let me go down to the basement. We had to break the lift to get down to the basement, so let me just like jump down here. Never mind the mess. Everything's fine, don't worry about it. The basement is flooded, which is alarming, but it is consistent with the decay of the building, right? The building is lacking in maintenance, and that is also true down in the basement. There is central heating, right? We have boilers here. There is central heating in the building, but it's flooded, so I'm not sure if this is safe anymore. It's probably not safe. And that's probably not safe. There's a giant floodlight in the water. And also in the basement there's a little bit of a storage. I guess there's like secure long-term storage down here or something. The storage is not very big though, so I'm not sure. I mean, there's a desk down here. Like, imagine this is your full-time job, is to sit at this desk. I'm not sure about this storage actually. And I'm not sure about that desk either. Like, what's that about? Yeah, no, I don't envy anyone who has to work in the basement down here. Alright, let's get back up. I feel like the basement should be bigger. I feel like the hospital would need more storage. But, you know, maybe for gameplay reasons, that's not practical. Okay, so this is the central circulation, by the way. We have an elevator shaft and then a staircase that wraps around it. In terms of layout, this is really great. I don't know if you caught that when we look at the map before. Let me just look at the map again. Now that we've seen the ground floor, right? So ground floor, again, if you didn't make any sense of this before, with the lobby, this is the stairwell. This is the elevator, this is the stairwell. And then the kitchen was here, the dining was here, the consultation was here, and then we had the staff lockers there. So having the circulation right in the middle of your building is great because it minimizes the distance people have to travel to get from point A to point B. And also getting from point A to point B, they don't have to go through other spaces. So for example, if you want to go from the lobby to dining, you don't have to go through consultation, for example. So that's good. So you don't want cross traffic too much. You want movement to be as short and as efficient as possible, and you don't want like people going somewhere else to interrupt other things in the other parts of your building. So like a central point of circulation is a very good idea in your building. Heading back here, there is a back door, although there's not too much back here. Oh, right. Remember this? You know, I'm not sure this matches the map. Are we too far south? The island should be further in the bay. The morning sun rises there. Midday should be there. Yeah, the sun is definitely in the wrong place. Uh, aside from that, we have a bit of a seating area out the back, I guess. I mean, it might be nice. It's not that interesting, though. And then over here we have a gate restricted area, and this goes back to the dock before. Remember the kitchen entrance was back there, and you bring the food in from back there, right? You can go back there from here as well. There's a garbage dumpster here. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be there, or if if this was here when this place was a hospital, or if the guards put this here. There's a guard post there. I don't know when that was put in either. Because this is a public area, right? So the restricted area is beyond the gate. So this is a guest area, supposedly. But there's a dumpster there, which is kind of nasty, right? So I don't really know about this. Anyway, there's a back balcony. I wonder if the game would be any different if there wasn't a back balcony. Alright, let's go upstairs. So after you get consultation, you get up the stairs. On one side you have disease treatment, on the other side you have salon. And then here you have a sort of a sitting area with books, where you can sit here and read if you want to. The salon is also a lot of books and seating. And in fact the salon is huge. Look how big the salon is. I mean, this hospital, like the medical treatment areas are the same size as the recreation areas. So the hospital is half medicine, half just people hanging out in the salon. Again, it's the sort of thing that would happen if the building is serving like really, really rich clients who have a lot of money to spend and they don't know how to spend it, right? So there's like a lot of just recreational books and places for people to just sit down and chat and hang out. Right, it's almost like a club. It's more like a... You know what I mean? It's almost like a place where people go to hang out instead of a place where people go to get medical treatment. Another restricted area, there's also an office back here. Not sure who would be in this office. Maybe the librarian for these books, right? Another piano. This place does overlook the dining area down below. I guess if you're here, you wouldn't miss dinner because you'd smell the dinner being cooked, right? I mean, it's just a huge recreational space in a hospital, in a place where you're supposed to be getting medical treatment. Anyway, this side we have hospital things, disease treatment. What is going on in disease treatment? Here you have, I think this is supposed to be an operating table. There's lights, and then there's like a sink there. Various chemistry sort of things. I guess you can get treated here. Right, this is like surgery. Bit alarming though. I mean, there are there sinks? Where would you wash your hands? I guess you wash your hands here, scrub down here, and then you do minor operations. I don't know if you would do like big operations like this, but minor operations there. Over here we have a sort of a greenhouse. This guy's not having a good day. But we do have a sort of a greenhouse. I guess they grow medical plants here? Medicinal plants? It's not very big though, is it? And then on the other side, here we have a lot of chemistry equipment. It looks like this is where they distill and process their medicines, right? So there's a big chemistry lab, basically. Back here we have Vasco's office. Vasco, I believe, is the biologist or the chemist, biochemist. He's got a really fancy office here, table, a lot of books back there, the records, and then over here his personal lab with more chemistry equipment. I'm just thinking, like, the surgery is kind of small, the chemical lab is kind of big. So you can kind of see like what they're focusing on. And then in here, restricted area, what is going on? I mean, first of all, there's bloodfly infestations, so that's not good. There's metal bars here, and the door is gated off, or is closed off there. I mean, this is alarming, isn't it? There's like a cage, and then this space, and then there's locked doors, and then you can observe what's going on inside from out here. I guess you would... Like, what kind of patient would you need to keep in a cage like this? I mean, maybe the crazy people? The fact that there's bloodfly infestation in here, I suppose they put bloodfly victims in here, in the cage, to try to contain the bloodflies and not let them get out. Although, as you can see, they did eventually get out. Eventually, the bloodflies got out of there. Alright, so that's a... I mean, if your hospital has a cage in it, it's kind of alarming, isn't it? There's more over here, though. So you notice there's a door there, and then there's... That's blocked off. Let's go out there, and to climb out there we do need to get a little creative, because the doorway is blocked off. The shortest way is to smash that window, and then climb out the ledge. Alright, so the blocked door is this blocked door, and then outside the blocked door we have a balcony overlooking the lobby. This part, once again, I'm not sure what's going on here. There's a balcony, there's like a desk here, bit of furniture here, like, I mean, but the balcony is mostly empty. I don't know what you would use the balcony for. And then past the balcony we have shelves, wooden paneling, typewriter, desk, records, more records, a safe, more records. This looks like where they do the paperwork, right? Maybe like the accounting office is here. I don't know if they keep their medical records here. So, office work. But the strange part is that to get to here, which is where they do the office work, the paperwork department, right? To get to where they do the paperwork, you have to go through the treatment area. Isn't that strange? This seems wrong, right? This seems wrong. If there was a way to get from here to the ground floor without going through the treatment area, this would make more sense. If there was like a staircase back here, maybe? If there was a staircase between this area and the lockers down below, this would make more sense, but there isn't. And so to get to the accounting office, or the records office, whatever that is, you have to go through disease treatment. Which is very, very strange, because that, like, those offices, they're not part of the disease treatment. Or they don't look like they're a part of disease treatment. Yeah, no, this is strange. Not sure if that makes any sense. In fact, I'm pretty sure it doesn't make any sense at all. Yeah, no, you'd want to be able to get there without going through disease treatment. Like maybe, like if here there was like a doorway that goes out to there, that would make a lot more sense. Anyway, not to dwell too much on that. Can continue going upstairs. And in here we have recuperation room, East Terrace, and also somebody's office. Not sure who. Is there like a name tag here? No. We have office, which goes into more office. So this might be the hospital director's office or something. Like it'll be the office of somebody important. They're almost at the top floor. I mean, she's having a pretty bad day though. And then you would overlook the entrance like that. So yeah, probably the hospital director's office would make the most sense. They have their own little basin here. Very fancy office. Right, cool. And then on this side we have recuperation room. There's been a serious blood fly infestation here. I'm guessing somebody did not recuperate from their blood fly infestation. Alright, first of all, over here we have lockers back there, and then we have showers. These are showers, by the way, isn't that cool? And then I got a lot of basins. Almost too many basins. Look at these showers. The water comes out of the mouths of those manta rays, I believe, is how this is supposed to work. So these manta rays, these are shower heads. The water comes out of there, isn't that cool? Very fancy showers, very decorative shower heads. This might be a little too close to the water though, that would just get completely wet if you leave that there. Anyway, there's showers, basins, and then here we have a lot of beds. A lot of cheap beds. And a lot of mattresses. So remember, right at the start we said, this hospital appears... what is this flashing thing going? This hospital appears to be a very richly decorated, very fancy building for rich people. But at some point, Dr. Hypatia has decided to open the hospital up for free healthcare to anybody who wants to come. So it changed from an exclusive, expensive hospital to a public hospital that's open to a lot of people. And this is what happens when you try to open up the hospital to more patients, is you have to fit more of them in here. And so what Hypatia has done is she's put a whole bunch of hospital beds in here and turned this into a hospital ward. So this used to be recuperation. This used to be, I guess, where the rich people rest up after getting their surgeries or something. But this recuperation space has been turned into a hospital ward, is what's going on. And because it's kind of retrofitted, some of this stuff doesn't really fit. Oh, these things are tanning beds, if you're wondering. So those are lights, and then you get in here and you get a tan. Not sure how well that works. And then you have like tanning beds that are open on both ends, which is kind of interesting. Right, and then after... actually, there's this room here. Is there a sign? No. No, there's no sign on here. There's a basin. There's more beds. And this basin's been destroyed. And then there's a tanning bed on the other side of the wall. So this wall didn't used to be broken like that. Alright, so this is just another room. Not sure what's going on. So because it's been so heavily modified, I'm having a lot of trouble trying to identify what recuperation would have looked like, right? So I don't actually know what recuperation would look like. I can kind of imagine this being a hospital ward. It would just be like a lot of beds in an open space. But yeah, so what it was like before when it was serving rich clients, I'm not really sure. Alright, so back here, another restricted area. This space makes no sense in terms of a hospital. Because what is this? Like, what is this? This is basically a nothing space up here. And then down there, we have operating tables? I mean, this could be a morgue, or it could be a surgery. But in both cases, it doesn't make any sense as a morgue or a surgery, because how would you get, if it's a morgue, how would you get dead people in here, and how would you get them out again? And what would you, like, and if it's a surgery, how do you get patients in here, and how do you get them out again? Because, let's look at this more closely, right? So there's a door here, there's a staircase. And then there are no other entries. Right, this is all closed up, this is all closed up. And then you have like a very big, spacious, either a surgery or a morgue. There's Dr Hypatia, by the way, if you're wondering. And then you have an office on this side. And this is definitely an office, it's closed, you can't go anywhere from here. Right to office, a little sitting area. I mean, this is probably the morgue. Or, like, this looks like where you do autopsies, right? And then this could have been storage at some point, maybe? Not really sure. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Because if this is a surgery, you bring somebody in here, you operate on them, they're unconscious, you have to get them back out into recuperation. But there's no lift, there's no ramps, you have to carry them up the stairs to go back to recuperation. That doesn't make any sense. If it's a morgue, which, I mean, there is, I think that was autopsy bed where then you have like dead people, you have like corpses, then you have to, eventually you have to get them out of the hospital, and the only way to get them out of the autopsy is to carry the dead bodies up the stairs and out through recuperation and then into the main lobby area. This is dead bodies. So that doesn't make any sense. This place doesn't make any sense. Like the location of this and even like the shape of this makes no sense in terms of a hospital. But I can tell you why they did this. It's because this is the boss fight, right? In the video game, when you play the game, in terms of gameplay, the boss fight is you have to get through the bloodfly infestation. And then you come in here, and then you fight the final boss here. This is the final boss arena. And part of the final boss arena gameplay is you sneak around, and you use the verticality to your advantage, and you drop down onto the boss to you know, sneak around and try to catch them unawares, right? So that's why there's all these columns that give you cover. That's why there's this big vertical space where you can drop down on the enemy. And then that's why you have basically like a corridor around the outside of the main room where you can like run around and they will chase you and you run away. So you kind of run around the room and then you chase each other. So in terms of like boss fight gameplay, this makes perfect sense. In terms of a functioning hospital, this makes zero sense. There's no way that room should be there, and there's no way that room should be that shape if you want to build a hospital. But if you want to build a boss fight room, and especially because the boss plays on this scary doctor, right, crazy doctor trope. So the boss is in the surgery slash autopsy room because you're getting cut up. You know, the boss is gonna cut you up. That's the trope, right? So that's why that room is there and it's shaped like that. It's at the end of a bloodfly infestation. That's also a challenge in itself. All right. So you know, as we said, sometimes you compromise the architecture to make room for the gameplay, and that's what they did here. It's a bit of a shame that they have to compromise, that they couldn't have it also make sense in the architecture as well, but you know, if you have to choose one over the other, you would choose gameplay over architecture. And I understand it, so that's fine. Alright, over here, East Terrace, opposite the recuperation room, we have an outdoor terrace. Again, another sort of recreation slash relaxation place. So you have like the dining room is, I mean, you have to eat, I guess. The saloon is just recreation slash relaxation. The terrace is also relaxation slash entertainment. This is basically just a place where you can sit outside and enjoy the sun and fresh air. That's all it is. And there's a lot of seats, of course. You can like sunbathe in these seats. This structure is outdoor louvers, outdoor Venetian blinds. Look at these. These are like outdoor Venetian blinds, and you will notice that all of it is broken. Like none of it is intact. All of it is broken. Venetian blinds. They're so complicated and they're so easy to break. Even indoors, they're easy to break. Outdoors, the wind just blows against it and it'll break. So all of this is broken. And up there, I can climb up there, right? Okay, let me get up there real quick. Oops. If I can not mash the keyboard. Alright, how do I get up there? Let me do that. Let me jump up here. So this is supposed to be like a steel frame with like a guide rail in the middle, and then you have these louver things that open and close the roof. So well, a whole bunch of these little louver things that open and close the roof, and of course with anything this complex, they're gonna break. And it's just way too complicated. I'm not saying you can't have complicated contraptions in your architecture. What I am saying is that if you have complicated contraptions in your architecture, you have to expect to fix them whenever they break, right? You need to expect that they break quite often, they're very high maintenance, and that it's going to cost you a lot of money and time to keep them maintained, right? And that's the case with these blinds in these things. So they're all broken. I mean, it's a sort of like high expense, high maintenance stuff that is cool, but it costs a lot, right? So, I mean, again, given that this hospital was originally designed to serve rich clients, I guess this would make sense, right? This would be the sort of thing that rich people would enjoy and they can afford to pay for it. But of course, once you convert the hospital into a public hospital where you're giving out free healthcare, there's no way anyone can pay for this sort of contraption, and so this sort of contraption will just break down and you can't afford to fix it anymore if you don't have the money, right? So there you go. If you have fancy buildings, prepare to have to pay for the maintenance, is what I'm saying. I mean, you can imagine it's quite nice if it wasn't all broken. Like you have like a roof that can open and close depending on the weather. You have like the walls can also open and close depending on the weather. Potentially quite nice if you can afford it. Alright, so the rooftop area, there's a little gazebo thing here as well. That used to be glass, right? Okay, that used to be glass, but all the glass is broken. 100% of the glass panels have been broken. Wild. Okay, so I was thinking like, no, it's not. I was saying, is it like a big glass panel? It's not. You can kind of see here what's left of the joints between the glass. So this, like the windows, they are smaller pieces of glass that are joined together. So in the world of Dishonored, they don't actually have the technology to make a giant sheet of glass, right? And so you have like smaller rectangular pieces of glass that are then joined together to make a big glass panel. And that's also the case for the roof here, because you can see like that's where they join, right? So you can, if you extend the line there, extend the line there, extend the line there, extend that line across, so it's a grid of smaller glass panels. Anyway, all the glass is gone, and they're not even on the ground anymore. It's just completely gone. The glass. Over here we have. This is a little strange. There's a little bridge, right? So we're back in the central lobby area. There's open big atrium. There's triple height atrium in the lobby, and then on the other side there's a sort of a dead end space that doesn't seem to do anything. Yeah, no, because this is not directly connected to any other part of the hospital. And the recuperation area is beyond this wall, but you can't actually get from the recuperation area onto this balcony. Which, again, like functionally, it doesn't make any sense. Because it would be nice if like you can just, you know, the recuperation just kind of go out and there's a balcony from the recuperation area. It seems like that would be quite nice, but I believe for gameplay purposes, they just didn't put that in. And so then you're left with this leftover space that isn't really joined to anything, and it doesn't really serve any purpose. Let me just go back to the recuperation area to show you what it looks like on the other side of the wall, right? Recuperation area. So here, look at that. So this is definitely not a door. It's not like this. These are not sliding doors or anything. You can't go out. There's a bit of a wall here, and then there's a window. Yeah, no, so it's just a balcony that you can't really go out onto. I mean, like the recuperation area, and then that surgery thing at the end. Like, I can imagine if you like rearrange the spaces a little bit, and then you open this up so that you can go onto this balcony here, like that would make a lot more sense in terms of architecture. But again, I think they compromised it for gameplay purposes. Alright, continuing upwards, up the stairs. Up here we have Hypatia's office. So this is the head doctor, Dr. Hypatia. Her office is here. Very fancy. In fact, the decorations, the decorative panels and things are quite different from the other part of the hospital. That's curious. Is that map useful? Dunwall. Not really. Karnaca's down here. Alright, that map's not that useful. She has a basin. I think this is supposed to be a bed. Although, does she sleep here? She probably shouldn't sleep here. Alright, that's the doctor's office. Nothing too remarkable for us to talk about. And then out here, we have private rooms. Look at that. So these are private hospital rooms for the really rich clients. I think the way this place was originally designed is that these are the only rooms, right? So we have a bed over there, and then I think this is supposed to be like a bathroom, but there's no bath and there's no toilet. So let me think about this. Recuperation, if recuperation really is just recuperation and not for long-term stay, like as in it's to recuperate from surgery or something, and any longer-term stay would be up here. I think that's how the hospital was originally designed, is that it really just served a small number of very rich clients. Although having said that, there's not enough rooms up here for the size of the salon and the dining area to make sense either. Or maybe these rooms aren't supposed to be this big. Maybe there's supposed to be more rooms up here. Because if you look at like this room here, and then like a corridor, this corridor is completely unnecessary. That's just like wasted space. And then this is just nothing, right? We don't have any rooms here. If we look at the map, there's like 4 rooms, which is a little silly. If we say each of the rooms, you can put a bed in, that would make more sense, right? If you so this is up here, 5. So at the moment there's like a bed and a toilet, which is odd. If you say you have a bed, 1 bed, 2 bed, maybe like 3 bed, 4 bed, 5 bed, 6 beds, that would make a little bit more sense, but even then that's only 6 patients in the entire hospital. But maybe that would be right. Like if there were like maybe 6 very rich patients in this hospital. The salon's big, but maybe that's because it wouldn't just be you, like you would have people visiting you at the hospital and you would like hang out with them at the salon maybe, right? 6 people in the dining area, a bit extravagant, but that's, you know, plausible. Right, so if we got like try to think about how this hospital would have worked originally as it was intended to serve a small number of very rich clients, then you would have the clients stay up here and get treated on the floors below. And then later on, when it was converted to a public hospital, then the recuperation area was turned into a hospital ward. And now the whole thing is just a bed, right? That's the story of the hospital. There is a little bit more stuff up here, nothing too special. If we continue going up, the resident engineer, the resident handyman, this is the guy who keeps the machines running, I guess. He's got a bit of a tool shop here, workshop, and he has his own stove and tap. No toilets? I don't know where he poops. In fact, I feel like there are too few toilets overall, but I'll just let that slide. Alright, so I believe that's the entire Addermire Institute, right? So, like, architecturally it's very interesting, because there's a lot of history, or there's some history, not a lot of, there's some history that they've like built into the game, right? What do I mean by that? You know, like they've basically designed this hospital 3 times, if you think about it. You have the original, very fancy, very rich hospital, and all of that, it mostly functions. Like some of the spaces are a little bit strange, but mostly that hospital functions. And then they've thought about what happened when you convert that into a public hospital for poor people. And it's possible that some of those spaces back there have been renovated for those purposes. Oh. Disease treatment. No. Remember how I said disease treatment? And then past disease treatment, there's the accountant's office. How that didn't make any sense. Maybe if we use our imagination a little bit, if there were beds back there, and that was part of the treatment. That would make sense. But then why would the recuperation be up there? Imagine if the recuperation is beyond disease treatments. Or maybe there's separate recuperation. Maybe there's like the disease treatment downstairs, which is where you get herbs and medicines. And they administer that stuff to you there and observe you there. And in this part, because there's a surgery here, this is surgery, and recuperation from the surgery is on this side. So you have like medicine on one side, surgery on the other side. And instead of that space then being the accounting office, that would be for the patients, either while they are being treated, or in observation after they've been treated. That would kind of make sense, kind of. Like you go in there, get treatment, and then I just blew up myself. Sorry about that. And you come out here. Like imagine if this was not offices, but rather more hospital beds, maybe. Would that make sense? It might make sense. I mean, I don't know if the game designers intended that. Maybe they didn't. But I'm just saying that if you reimagine some of these spaces a little bit, they would make more sense. What was I saying before? Alright, so they designed the hospital like 3 times, maybe even like 4 times. The original hospital, and then the public hospital, and then they have to fit the gameplay in here. And part of fitting the gameplay in here is they also have to change this thing into a guard barracks, which, if you remember, you have like guards sleeping on these beds here. So they turned this room into a barracks area, and then they also had the guards out in the dining area. So they turned that into a mess hall as well. So like there's layers of architecture, if that makes sense, right? There's like the original building, so the fancy hospital, expensive hospital, and then the public hospital, and then this state, and then a place where it's just filled with guards, right? And then there's these security things inside the building. So I appreciate that, you know? I appreciate like telling all that history, right? Telling that long story through the architecture and through the environment, to the extent where, you know, the beds tell you what's going on in the rooms, and then all the broken tiles and the plants growing up, like it tells you how long the building has been abandoned, right? And then the different parts of the hospital, they tell you how the hospital used to work, and they tell you how, you know, it used to be, it only used to serve a few rich people who had their rooms on the rooftop, but then later on they had a hospital ward, right? So there's a lot of story being told through the architecture, and if you take the time to look through it, then all the story is told to you, right? So I really appreciate that. I appreciate this environmental storytelling, and just like having all this history in the built environment. So that's very cool. Anyway, let me end this here. So this is the Addermire Institute. Alright, that's the end of this video. In the next video, we are going to the Clockwork Mansion, which is the home of Bobby Jindosh. I'll see you there.